Welcome back, students. Today is the Q&A session 4 from the chapter of laws of motion, and today we will be solving a couple of questions, and these questions will be based on what we have studied in the session number 1, 2 and 3. So the first question is written on this board. In the first question it is written that a constant force acting on a body of mass 3 kg changes its speed from 2 meter per second to 3.5 meter per second in 25 seconds. The direction of the motion of the body remains unchanged. What is the magnitude and the direction of the force? So this is a question which I have taken for this. This is a very easy question. So right now we will be in this session I have taken very easy questions, and basically these questions will be are based where we have to use these formulas directly. So in this question the speed is changing from 2 meters to 3.5 meter per second in 25 seconds. Okay, now we know that we have to find the magnitude and direction of the force. The force is equal to mass into acceleration, and this F is equal to ma, that is force is equal to mass into acceleration in the SI system of units. Okay, in the SI system of units, the value of k, that is the constant of proportionality, is equal to 1. So F is equal to ma. Now mass is given as 3 kg. Acceleration क्या है? Acceleration is equal to will be equal to, you can write as v minus u divided by t. ठीक है, where v is the final velocity, u is the initial velocity, and t is the time taken. So 3, the final velocity is 3.5 minus 2 meter per second divided by the time taken, which is equal to 25 seconds. So here we will be getting as 3 into 1.5 divided by 25. Okay. So the magnitude of the force is equal to, F will be equal to 4.5 divided by 25, or we can write it as I will just, which is equal to which is equal to 0.18 newtons. What I have done here is that I have multiplied this numerator and the denominator by 4. So if I multiply this numerator by 4, we will be getting, that is equal to this 4.5 into 4 is equal to 18, and this is equal to 100. So the force is equal, the magnitude of the force is equal to 0.18 Newton. Now it is asking there are two things, that is magnitude of the force and the direction of the force. So the direction of the force will be the direction of the force will be the same as the direction of motion. ठीक है. So the magnitude of the force is equal to 0.18 Newton, and the direction of force will be the same as the direction of the motion. So the question was very easy. We have to simply use the formula, that is F is equal to ma. तो यहाँ से हमने जो है इस फॉर्मूले को यूज़ किया, then we found the acceleration using this formula, that is acceleration is equal to v minus u divided by the t, where v is the final velocity, u is the initial velocity, and t is the time taken. तो इस फॉर्मूले को यूज़ करते हुए हमने मैग्नीट्यूड निकाल दिया, और यहाँ पे जो सेकंड चीज़ पूछ रहे डायरेक्शन, तो डायरेक्शन ऑफ द फोर्स विल बी द सेम एज द डायरेक्शन ऑफ द मोशन. नाउ लेट अस डू द सेकंड क्वेश्चन. Yes. The question is a rocket with a lift of mass. Question is a rocket with a lift of mass of 20,000 kg is blasted upward with an initial acceleration of 5 meter per second square. ठीक है, we have calculate the initial thrust ब्रैकेट में लिखा हुआ है फोर्स, इनिशियल थ्रस्ट और फोर्स of the blast. And here the value of this acceleration due to gravity, यहाँ g है which has to be taken as 9.8 meter per second square. So this is the question. Now, a rocket with a lift of mass of 20,000 kg is blasted upward with an initial acceleration of 5 meter per second square. माने एक rocket है which has been blasted in the upward direction with an initial acceleration of 5 meter per second square. So we have to calculate the initial thrust or the force of the blast. So in this case, the initial thrust should be sufficient enough to overcome the force of gravity. ठीक है, initial thrust, this is the important thing. Initial thrust or the force should be sufficient enough to overcome the force of gravity and should be able to provide an acceleration of 5 meter per second square. 5 meter per second square should be able to provide an acceleration of 5 meter per second square in the upward direction. ठीक है, सो ये जो क्वेश्चन में जो इम्पोर्टेंट थिंग ये आपको ये ध्यान देनी है कि जो इनिशियल जो थ्रस्ट है इट शुड बी सफिशिएंट एनफ टू ओवरकम द फोर्स ऑफ ग्रेविटी. ठीक है, and at the same time it should be able to provide an acceleration of 5 meter per second square in the upward direction. ठीक है ना? So it implies that net acceleration in the upward direction क्या हो जाएगा? This will be equal to this acceleration of 5 meter per second square plus the acceleration due to gravity. ठीक है ना? Because this initial thrust has to overcome the force of gravity. So the net acceleration in the upward direction will be equal to 9.8 meter per second square plus 5 meter per second square. So the initial, or you can say the net acceleration in the upward direction should be equal to 9.8 plus 5, which is equal to 14.8 meter per second square. ठीक है? This is the acceleration. It should be, this is, you can say, the net acceleration in the upward direction. So it implies that the initial thrust will be equal to mass into this net acceleration. So this will be equal to what? The mass is 20,000 kg into 14.8. That is this is the net acceleration, that is mass into this net acceleration, which is equal to, if I just multiply it here, so we will be getting as, it is 16, put a 8, 9 and 2, 29.6 into Newton, and this is equal to 2,961 newtons. So the initial thrust of the blast will be equal to 2,96,000 newtons. Okay. So in this the only thing which, or you can say the only important step in solving this question was finding the net acceleration in the upward direction. So वो हमारा जो net acceleration in the upward direction आ गया, that is equal to 14.8 meter per second square, because in order because the initial thrust, it has to overcome the force of gravity. So the initial acceleration, see here, the initial acceleration is in the upward direction is 5 meter per second square. So, and since it has to overcome the force of gravity, so the net acceleration in the upward direction will be equal to 9.8. And what is 9.8? It is the acceleration due to gravity. So 9.8 plus 5, which is equal to 14.8 meter per second square. So the initial thrust will be equal to, that is initial thrust or the force, this will be equal to, that is mass into this net acceleration, and finally the answer is 2,96,000 Newton. So the initial thrust or the force of the blast is equal to 2,96,000 newtons. So this is all I have for this session number 4, and in the next session, that is in the session number 5, I will be discussing about the law of conservation of momentum. So thank you very much for this session, and have a nice day. Bye.